Today's lecture is about history of human-computer interaction and what is meaning of human-computer interaction and how cognitive psychology is being used for your design. Product design, information design, or software design is the HCI is core part of it. Okay, so one of the important figure in HCI is Donald Norman. Okay, Don Norman is cognitive psychology. Cognitive psychology. He's in Korea now. He's in KAIST, right, as the distinctive professor. So Don Norman is proposed that our interface design or all the system design is not much concerned about human factors. Okay, human factors. That's why human factor is another terms you have to remind. It's not talking about biological factors, biomechanical factor like length of your arm or your height or your weight. That kind of research has been done in last 5 or 6 decades. What Donald Norman proposed that is we have to consider human cognition. Okay? The reason why Don Norman is so important in HCI study is his first figure to include cognitive psychology into system design. That's why all your industrial engineering students are concerned about. Okay? So first time, cognition into system design. So what he made was cognitive systems engineering. Before cognitive system engineering, all the system engineering are talking about control theory or feedback loop. So probably many of your system engineering course textbook include very deterministic model, mathematical model, right? The production management OWL is kind of system engineering tool, but what he did was when we make a system, the most important thing is human factor. In particular, cognition is important. So he proposed that human error is the important thing to consider in system design. So what he proposed that is important. Say what? Human error is not from human. It's from the designer. Designer made the wrong system, so human make an error, right? But many of us, many of the users simply say, oh, I'm so ignorant and I'm so stupid to make an error. But major problem, what Donald Norman see was human error is not from user, it's from designer. So designer must know human cognition. And then we can make something good for the user. That is philosophy of human-computer interaction. What Donald Norman proposed initially. Get it? Okay? So designer must know about human limitation. That human limitation comes from cognitive psychology. All our textbook is talking about that. So when designer understands cognitive psychology, we can make good system. What system? For people not to make an errors. That is one of the errors. That is a real story. Okay, 1980s. Okay, so when you read it, so true story from the Nobel NetWire system operator. So caller, the people call, hello, is this tech support? And one of the respondent and customer helper is, yes, it is. How can I help you? So caller is, the cup holder on my PC is broken and I am within my warranty period. So how do I get it replaced? I'm sorry, but did you say a cup holder? Yes, it is attached to the front of my computer. Excuse me if I'm stumped, stupid, I mean something confused, because did you receive this as part of the promotion? Free free promotion, 공짜 promotion. Okay. So at a trade show, how did you get this cup holder? Does it have any trademarks on it? It says 4X. What is 4X? CD-ROM. Okay, when you click it, something comes out from the computer. It looks like cup holder. Huh? But that was first time, okay, when the designer proposed CD-ROM. Okay, that looks like this one, isn't it? When you click it like that. Okay, so he used this one as a cup holder, but that doesn't any strong, isn't it? So the idea about this one is the designer of CD-ROM, why he made or she made the copper, I mean the CD-ROMs, CD-ROM drivers like that. It looks like the cup holder, isn't it? Okay, designer made something for their own purpose, but you just see the same thing in different ways. Okay, when you make something like that, okay, so why the designer make like this way? So you expect, the designer expect that, so you just will see the same product as I see. But that never happens in many cases. That's why all the human errors, all the usability problem arising. Okay, the designer makes something, but you just have a different ideas, different thought. So that's what this one say, the example of the human error. So it's not like the designer's issues. Okay, it's not the human issue. It's all the designer's problem. I can show you some of the other examples. Say in the information design, like icon or feedback design, the first one. Okay. What is it? Adding more than 150 files is not recommended. Windows may fail to add all selected files. Do you want continue? Yes, no, help. So we are helping. The users are very, very thankful for giving us such a warning. But what should I do? Yes means continue. Continue on. But adding more than 100 files is not recommended. But this system says you may not include 150 files. If you continue it, many of them might be lost. Right? No means the process is stopped. Help, of course, as you know, when you click help, nothing important, nothing informative, right? So look at this one, copying. So what happened when you cancel the operation? Just gone, see? You are about to overwrite the original file. Go ahead. There's only one button. Okay. You can cancel it. You can delete it. Just okay. Okay. What does that mean? Okay to not save games? Which means save game or not save game? Not save game. Okay to not to save game? Right? Cancel save. What is this one? Save? What does okay means? That is an example of all our designers' errors. Okay, designer makes something to give us, to let us know something important things, but when they give us such a confusing information, we can't process it. Isn't it? Right, that is the thing. So based on this information, and another example. Oh, silly help. So you might be wondering about how I find these kinds of examples, isn't it? All the Google search, okay? 7 years Google search make me find such a good example, right? This one is something about, it's not warning message. It's just kind of thank you for using our online catalog. So something, and then just the information, the text. So that is the important thing. Why Donald Norman? So he proposed, he made written a book. The most important book in HCI. The most important thing. Okay, the title is (1982). That is translated in Korean. Very good book, well translated. Our library has many books of this one. Okay, if you are interested in, you can read this Korean textbook written by Donald Norman. It's translated 2005, I guess. 2000? I'm not sure about this one. Okay, so Donald Norman wrote the book, The Psychology of Everything, which we abbreviated. This one is POET. Okay, call this one simply POET or POET, whatever you call it. Right, the book includes this slide. The major summary, the overall summary of this textbook, this book, is that many human errors is not from your limitation or your problem, it's design problem. Okay, second thing is, human factor is very important since World War II and human performance, because of the human performance limitation. In particular, handling complex machine, complex system. Okay? In olden times, when each product has only one function, there is no usability problems. Okay? So this one is only one function, isn't it? Only one function. Propelling sharp, right? Propelling pencil. Only one function. There is no usability problem. There is no human errors. When you learn something, you can use the same thing forever in your lifetime. But complex system, computer, hi-fi, your car navigation system. So nowadays, all one device has heaps of functions in it. So that kind of complex system has a limitation by human errors, by the design errors. Okay? So Donald Norman proposed that these kinds of things are important to design product or complex system. The first one is affordance. Junior? First one is affordance. Okay? Right. Probably you heard about the affordance from our course, okay, in week 3, but I haven't detailed about what affordance means. Affordance is what he proposed. Donald Norman hasn't proposed firstly about this, what is it, the affordance. So the first one he proposed affordance was Gibson. Oh, thank you. Gibson, G.G. Gibson. The Gibson say, okay, so how people perceive product or object. How we perceive this one is book. Okay, book. How? No, you have to read the figures or side or colors and then recognize this one as a book. That is a traditional cognitive psychology aspect, right? So visual sensory memory is working with that and matching with some of the patterns in our memory to matching that, oh, this one is book. Oh? But some other different types of book, other books. Okay, other books. Do you have any other books rather than small size? Small sized. Okay, that's fine. Any other books? You don't have any books for students? Oh yeah. Thank you. Okay, we have different types of book, but how we can recognize this one as a book? That is a traditional questions in cognitive psychology, but Gibson say, oh, hang on. This one is traditional cognitive psychological aspect, but affordance means action. What he see is very different things. Traditional cognitive psychologist is how we perceive the information is the key for cognitive psychologists. But Gibson say that is not so much important for our action. action is more important for our perspective, such as when we open the book and clicking through it, that means book. Okay? If the book cannot open, and if it cannot clicking through the books or no text in it, we can't call this one is book. Isn't it? So this one is similar size. Okay, hang on. Similar size. This one is book, this one is notebook, isn't it? Your action is different with the same, it's a similar object. This one, you believe this one is book because you can't write down on the book. But this one is similar size, but you say, oh, this one is writable. Isn't it? So Gibson says, human perception is not simply information perceived. Information perception plus action perception. We know what we can do with it. See? What is this one? Chalk. What can I do with it? Writing. And sometimes, right? But that depends on the culture. Okay, Western culture doesn't do the chalk. Korean culture is sorry. Okay, so what is this one? What is this one? This one. Chair, right? What is this one? Chair. All the same thing, isn't it? Well, that is information perception is different. Color is different. Shape is different. Layout is different. Designs are different. But all you say what? Chair. What can you expect with a chair? Sitting. You can't throw it, right? You can't stand up. You can't stand up on it, right? So what perception can be separated into two things, but Gibson wants to see one thing. Information perception at the same time with the action is called affordance. Okay? That's why Donald Norman simply use it, Gibson's affordance in information design or product design. So that's the major contribution by Donald Norman. Affordance concept comes into the design, industrial design, product design. That's why we use the button, scroll bar, okay, mouse click, double click. Okay, that's what Donald Norman did. In principle, he proposed his idea with the affordance, like all the things, chair for sitting, table for placing on, knobs for turning, okay, right? Slot for inserting. When people see the slot, they want to insert something, okay? And the button for pushing. Nobody want to pull it, okay? When you see the button, you want to click it. Do not want to pull, okay? You have to click it or push down, right? Or hold down. So that kinds of things is basics of every product design. That's what Donald Norman says. But he's converted later on, but I can explain why I bring this book later on. But what he personally proposed that visual affordance is the key in every design. Desktop computer interface, you can see the mouse, icon. When you see the icon, you can double click it, right? When you see the button, you want to click it. When you see the text, nobody click it. When you see the hyperlink, you want to click, right? So that is visual affordance. Of course, this visual affordance must be learned, but basically what Donald Norman says is we have the designer must give the right affordance for the user. And then they never make an error. Because people doesn't want to pull the button. All of us push the button. Okay. But computers for one. So that is a difficult situation. Complex system, we can use a simple UI, user interface, with the affordance, but how we can make for the computers. Single product or simple product is much easier. But when you have more function, it is very hard to make a right system with right affordance. That's why we have to use picture, label, instruction. We need to educate them. That's why your iPhone or your mobile phone has icons in here. and the labels in here, isn't it? The reason why we have a label is icon does not provide any clear any clear meaning or any clear actions. When you see the label like a message, so this message, you can send it. So that when you see the message label, you can expect affordance with the icon. Okay? Get it? Like that. So if that is the icon, like internet, so you say internet. Okay? In English is internet. So when you, even though you can't recognize the affordance with this icon itself, you can use this semantic information to expect what action I can take. Okay, so if you go into the internet, you may access to the world. Okay, that kind of action expectation comes up with visual affordance. Right. So, see, that is kind of audio, the software, say, low level affordance, the familiar idioms and metaphor to work. See, slider. Okay, when you see the slide, you want to move up and down, right? Nobody wants to move left and right. Okay? See, good affordance. Button for pressing. So it looks like button, but what is that for? The music, it's kind of music, but when you click that one, what will happen? You can't expect, so you can click something because that is button, but what can you expect when you click it? Sound? I don't know, I haven't used it. I'm just saying, when I first see this interface, I don't know what to do. So when I click this one, also this one, it is button. Does it look like it? Or other things, like this one. What is that for? A button is for pressing, but what does it do? Folder? Looks like folder, isn't it? But when you click something, where the information come up? There's no display in here. So how can I select it up and down, left and right? So when the system getting more complex and complicated, simple visual affordance cannot be easily applied. That's what you working in industry engineers. Okay, if you go to the Samsung Mobile or LG U Plus or any of the UI design companies, your main job is how we can make these icons or label or instruction or task procedure for easy to use for all of the users. In that case, you may need to use operation research, LP, Bernoulli, okay? All of the techniques, you have to use it. That's the why industry engineering students or graduate go to the interdisciplinary field, UI design. Now many of the companies call that is UX design, user experience design, but I can explain later on what is UX. But UI is basis for every information design for the user. Right, so this one might be a good example, but this one is pretty much ugly. Very difficult to use system. So I'll say like, so that it looks like toggle button, but what is that for? So it is something happen or just graphic, or when you touch something it happens, okay? Because that is only graphic on the screen, computer screen. That doesn't look like you can touch, when you touch it, something happens. So you never expect it. It looks like just graphic. But actually, when you touch it, that is turned up. So that is actually when you call out, you have this one. We put the phone numbers in here. So likewise, many of issues. Another example, the problems, okay? This one is handle, isn't it? But that is actually slider. Designers make what you want, okay? So if you go to any of the design fair, in particular the designer, industrial design, the expert things, you can find many, many interesting examples. They make what they want. But another thing is, whether their design can communicate with users is another thing. They can make what they want, insightful, looking good, fantastic, sexy, they can make it. But whether they can be communicated with the user is different story. That's why you have to work. So when someone makes something, you have to criticize, okay, with your cognitive psychological aspect or affordance concept. You can explain that why their design is wrong. Say, good design, isn't it? Why this one is good design? Because that is only working with this one. Foolproof design, right? So we have two connector, okay, right? This one cannot be inserted into the 3 pins, the consent, right? So this one is visual constraint. What Donald Norman say, when people see something, they try to matching with their previous example, such as what? Gestalt psychology. Gestalt effect, right? When we perceive the information, we also patternizing or clubbing or circling. So we already recognize this one, so we're trying to matching with your product and your visual perception so that you can visually constrain where this key to be inserted. Okay, also this one, you can only connect the 2 holes consent. So what Donald Norman's fantastic example is this one, the door example. Push or pull. When you see that door, one knob, do you want to push or pull? What? Push or pull? Nobody knows it. That's why many of the people has a headbang with toilet doors. So that nowadays toilet door has something special design, isn't it? Some of the door has a window in it, so that we can recognize someone comes up or someone comes in. Okay. Without that things, if someone is pull and someone is pushes, maybe headbangs, right? To bang each other. That is the thing. Good design. Okay, to avoid the human errors. Okay. Another question, say like this one. Which side? Do you want to click this side or this side? That is push button. Have you seen this kind of door? That is fire door in Western countries. So which side do you have to push it? Left, right, push, middle. So best design is this one. So that is end up with this kind of design with the many human errors. After many human errors, okay, designer recognize, oh, right, this one is wrong, this one is also wrong, this one is right. So we cognitive psychologists can explain why this one is better. Why? That has a visual constraint. This one is bigger. Huh? We click the bigger one. Nobody click the smaller one. When you have 2 options, one is smaller one, the other one is big one, many of us click the big one. Is it? Small one? Do you want to push the small one or big one? Big one means more common. Okay? More common thing, much common thing. That's why we like lower of large number. Okay, we're just following the big number. Okay, so that's the thing. Like this one. Okay, this one is pretty much recorded the date and month. So the good information design give us some kind of selection. Okay, this one is why this one is difficult because that is using recall. This one is simple recognition. Why recognition is better than recall? Human mind. In human mind, the model of human mind, we have visual system. Okay, that is go to the working memory. Okay, and then long-term memory, isn't it? So recall happens in here. It takes time. Recognition happens in here, much faster. That's why this one is difficult to use, and this one is easier to use, because faster. We just simply recognize what data bit. You can choose it, select it. But otherwise, you have to recall what date of today. If you're wrong on date, you have to recall it. You may see the many these kinds of example, the hope and knobs. Okay, so this one. So my drawing is very ugly, as you know. So it takes time to draw it. Couple of hours. So that is, you know, okay. So sometimes you put the papers in the wrong hope so that they can fire. See? Thank you. It takes time. It takes time. Don't blame me. I'm not an artist, so. what? Big Okay, so you already know this one from the Gestalt psychology. Sorry. Okay. See? So this one is you can make a link, right? Okay. Likewise, this one is difficult to use it. So that's the why how we understanding cognition of the human mind can help information design or product design like that. Okay. I can skip the next example. Causality is not much important for you guys. Yeah. Transfer effect. This one should be learned. Okay, what Donald Norman also make an example is how, okay, so we can make a new system, okay, new system. But how we can use, how the people use this new system. So this one is called the learning effect, okay? So memory, episodic memory, remember the semantic memory? Okay, so chapter 7 is all about the memory. So what Donald Norman proposed that, if someone wants to use the new system, many of us is trying to use old knowledge, transfer into the new system. Get it? Of course. So when you buy the new mobile phone, your previous example, previous learning knowledge with your old mobile phone can be applied to use the new mobile phone, isn't it? So if that is positive or negative. So the reason why computer keypad like that, so your keypad, where is keypad in here? QWERTY keypad, isn't it? The old system, QWERTY, the top lower is QWERTY. Where this come from? Huh? You never thought about it? Never consider why this? So when you see the keyboard like this way, okay, we call QWERTY. So we call this one is QWERTY keypad. So where this happen? Where this one come from? Why our keyboard is like that? QWERTY. Typewriter, okay? Okay, so it's 15th, 16th century, the typewriter, right? This one. But why the typewriter designers put the keypad like that? That is question. Why typewriter designer, first designer of typewriter is put the keypad layout like QWERTY. Anyone knows it? Huh? Frequency. Who said it? Yes, frequency. Why? What frequency? Yes, yeah. So if you look at this one, the idea is really cunning. So the first designer say, this one is vowel, isn't it? This one is also many times the English word is ending with Y. So he intentionally put less frequent letters and then frequent letters. So that at the time is arm, isn't it? The typewriter has arm, right? You remember that? So if you have a frequent word is linked close together, arm is jammed. Oh, that's why he intentionally put frequent word in the middle of it. So, and then so when you use the many E, so this one is never happened for a long time, so that these two arms is never jammed. Okay? Right? You get it? You understand it? Yeah. Typewriter has arm. So not to jam these arms in typewriter, he intentionally put the keypad like QWERTY. So QWERTY, okay, like that. And then that convention transferred into our keypad, computer keypad. Of course, we have much faster. The computer keypad doesn't have any arms, right? So that we develop a really fantastic keypad layout. Dvorak layout. So when you go to the Google and find the Dvorak, and this keypad is 3 times faster than this one. But nobody uses it. In Korea, it's a Hangul 2벌씩, right? We use it 2벌씩, right? 3벌씩 is much faster. Huh? We use the 2벌씩, right? 3벌씩 is much faster. Likewise, in English, Dvorak is much faster, but nobody uses it. The reason is, processing time. No. Because we human beings doesn't want to learn new things. Okay? So we already get used to QWERTY keypad. Okay? So from my young daughter he's typing 291 per minute, so his competition like typing Korean typing thing. So when they learn this typing skill in very early ages, you never want to change it to Dvorak or Sambol식. Okay? That's the why people doesn't want to use Dvorak or Sambol식. So that means we have positive transfer knowledge into in here, but when you go to from here to in here, it happens negative transfer. People avoid negative transfer because you have to pay attention to it. Attention is limited, right? Attention is limited. Okay? Cognitive psychology, attention is limited. That's why people doesn't want to learn new things because negative things happen. So that's why consistency is important. When you system design, okay, iPhone 1, now it's 4S, right? All the similar things, consistently designed. The reason is, if you want to change from in here abruptly, all UI has been changed from 1 to 2, they don't have any positive transfer. That's why they give up to learn new things. When you make a series of your product, consistency is important to provide positive transfer. But our system, Galaxy S, okay, the Samsung UI or LG UI doesn't have any strong consistency like iPhone. So that's the kind of limitation to market because of this negative transfer. So the best way is this one, isn't it? Keypad. So, next one. Okay? So next issue by Donald Norman was, so now we know it, okay? Population stereotype. Not simply affordance, okay? Not simply affordance is the major part of the system design. So we also need to know about the culture. Google, Naver, okay, so Naver. You like Naver, isn't it? So Google is not much successful in Korea yet because Naver is so strong power. There's only 2 countries Google never successfully is China and Korea. Very strange things, right? Isn't it? Japan is Google is dominant the web search engine. But Japan is a somewhat different culture. But why Naver and Google is now working in Korea? Why the Google is now working in Korea perfectly? Google is very simple, right? Naver, very, very complicated, isn't it? There's heaps of information in the first pages. When we surveyed it of human behavior in Korean people, they believe that more information means good. That is human in Korea. Western people, they have a minimalism. When they have more information, they don't trust them much. Okay, so different culture decide the preference to the interface. In particular, China and Korea. Okay, so that's why Yahoo is quite a big portion in Korea still, but America does not much working. The reason is very complicated, too many information. Google is very minimalism, the core of minimalism. Okay, so that's the thing. Red means danger in Korea. Okay, in most of the Western country. In China, red means money. Red is fortune. So when you look at the Chinese movie, there's heaps of red colors. It's not danger meaning. There's money, fortune things. Okay? Green means safe. Some of the countries, green is not different. So for example, where is Axis sign in here? No, not in here. But when you look at around, this Axis sign, some of the country with the green background, some other country use a red background. Strange thing, isn't it? Okay, another thing. Okay, I can skip this one. Right. East Germany, traffic man. You know that, traffic man? Yes. Yes? Right, that is traditional. The traffic light, as all of us use these kinds of things. The German, like this one. Okay? That is traffic man. There's a different version of it, traffic woman. Okay? So the main problem of this product was this one. It's not the problem. The things what the German traffic designer is called, I think about this way. Why some kind of car accident happened in the crossing? Okay, 횡단보도, crossing. So that means, okay, some people is just crossing the road without noticing the sign, right? What they think is if we can provide very authentic information to them, they are engaged into seeing it. Okay? Not simply showing red or green colors, they show 뽀로로 thingy. 뽀로로. The East Germany traffic man, this figure is kind of 뽀로로. So that's why they put these pictures in the traffic light. That doesn't work in other country because, what is it? But German people, East Germany in particular, they like it. So they want to see it, so that they stop it before they crossing it. See? Simple design can reduce the hips of the car accident or death toll. Right? So that is culture. It's not working in Korea, never. But we can work with the 뽀로로 thingy, right? So that is kind of new design concept. Right, likewise, culture is very important things we have to consider likewise this way. Okay, the trash can. So when the Apple made the first trash can icon like this one, that doesn't work in other countries like Thailand, Korea. We have different types of the trash bin. And word is different. Trash bin is being used in America much. The waste bin. Some other countries use a different word. We call 휴지통, right? So likewise, different terms being used. We never use these kinds of trash bin. So people may not recognize these kinds of icons. So another issue comes up from this topic is customization. How we can customize for the local market. Okay? Right. Okay. So conceptual model is the final things what Donald Norman proposed. So when people use the system, they must have conceptual model. Conceptual model is not much difficult. Things like why this one. Why the seizures is always easy to use? Because it says affordance. So when you see the hole, you want to insert your fingers, right? Right? So that is affordance. Okay, it says affordance. And only one function, cutting. Okay? And then there's mapping issue and positive transfer. When you learn these things at very young ages, you can use the seizures forever in your lifetime. We don't have any new seizures, do we? Or electronic seizures, but that is different thing, different operation. But most of seizures doesn't change much from that design concept. So we have positive knowledge transfer. So with these kinds of thing, you have conceptual model in here. So when you see the new types of seizure, you can use this conceptual model to use the new seizure. That's what Apple's very good at it. They have their conceptual design. When you use the Apple, any product of Apple's, they give us conceptual model to us, easy to use. And then this conceptual model can be used in other product of Apple's. iPhone, iPad, Apple Mac, PowerBook, everything has a similar function or similar UI so that we can use the same conceptual model in every product. So look at our product, Samsung's or LG's, whether they have the same conceptual model between the lines, between the product. That's when you have to do it, when you go out. Okay. Bad example, affordance problem. We can't make a conceptual model of this electronic watch. We have 4 buttons in here, but different product has a different operation for the button. So that one system, knowledge from the one system cannot apply to the next system. Get it? Okay, so affordance, okay, we have push pull button, but we don't know what to do with it. Okay, constraint mapping is unknown. So what knowledge transfer? So when you learn something from the A clock, you can to the next clock, it doesn't work. Okay, so conceptual model is translated. That's the summary of Donald Norman's one. That picture is very important. Okay, user has their own knowledge. That is called the user model. Okay, designer has their model. That is called the designer's model. If these two things are matched, that is good design. Otherwise, not good. That is all the summary of the poet, the psychology of everything. But from now on, the question is how we find the user's model. Many of the user model, you already know it. Attention, working memory, long-term memory, language structure, knowledge representation, that is all about user model. Okay, what Donald Norman proposed that when you study about these kinds of things, designer can make product for the user. So that start HCI in 1980s. Okay, so I can just a little bit more. Okay. Okay, so that's the thing. So I can just use this one. Oh, okay. So based on this understanding, okay, Donald Norman proposed the term is called human-computer interaction, HCI. Okay, what he did was this one. In olden times, that is called ENIAC. It's the first computer in our world history. Very expensive, of course, very expensive, very large, like size of this building, okay, at the time. So there is no programming tool, so we have to connect the code line between the slot. So, question is, who are the users of this machine? Who? We? No. Only who? The developer. Huh? Nobody can use it. Only developer can use it. So at the time, easy to use or easy to learn is not a major issue because they know everything, because they designed it. Okay? See, designer's model and user model are the same. So Norman's approach is designer's model and user model is the same. No human errors because they know everything. Okay. So that is up to 1970s. So now who's guy? Okay. So we're still using a machine-centered design, the pilot. So the head-mount display is really expensive. So we need to find someone who fit into the expensive product. Okay, in the real Air Force. So if you have a big head, you can't go to the Air Force. You can't be a pilot. So your head should be fit into this head-mount display because very expensive one. Okay. That's the why we have to praise the who? Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs is the guy. He's not the greatest genius. He's kind of the future teller. What he did, he's a market guy. He's a marketing guy. Say, when he firstly proposed Apple II 1977, this one. What Steve Jobs considered is two things. Okay, if I want to selling my product to make a big money, I need the two things. The first thing is easy to use system. Okay, easy to use, so which means no learning is needed for computer use. And second thing is how to control this computer. Two things. So what he made is two. One is graphing user interface and mouse. Of course, to use the graphing user interface, you need a mouse. You can't with the keyboard because click, double click, drag and drops, okay? Right. Who made this one? Steve Jobs? No. No. Xerox, you know the Xerox photocopy machine? Okay, the Xerox made the mouse and first graphic user interface called the Star, and he just popped into the Xerox and copied it. That is not his idea. He just borrowed it, and then the point is about he changed everything of Xerox Star interface for Apple II. Okay, Xerox is desktop interface. It's not particular graphic interface. Desktop interface and graphic user interface is different. Desktop interface has folder, tree structure, cabinet things, right? So that is what Xerox has, but Steve Jobs say, okay, so we can copy the desktop interface to use mouse with a very cheap cost. So another thing is cheap cost is the key. So Steve Jobs, firstly, 1977, proposed Apple II with the cheap mouse and graphic user interface that was sensational, and we entered into computing era, 1977. That's what he made, 1977. Okay, graphic user interface comes up with mouse. So we entered into computing era. At that time, the key was Donald Norman's idea, user model. Okay, Apple Steve Jobs says, we have to understand the user. To understand the user, only way to control it, graphic user interface. Because they use what? Recognition. Graphic user interface is icon, label, that sort of thing. So we can use a recognition, not recall. All the system must be used to recall from your memory. But what the Steve Jobs say, oh, recall take time. So we have to use a recognition. To use recognition, we have to go to the graphic user interface. That's their decision. It worked. Genius, isn't it? From that point, he is a genius. Likewise, he also changed the paradigm, another thing, in 2007, isn't it? He just destroyed all the computing market, what he built up, and then he proposed a new thing in 2007 with the iPhone. Pretty much easy to use. And then he added up, okay, one more thing. So at that time is recognition. Okay, the Apple iPhone. Okay, technically speaking, Apple iPhone is not fantastic or cutting edge product. Okay, Samsung can make much better ways. Of course, they have technology, they have skills, they have tools. But why Apple iPhone is so much successful was two things. They used not simply UI, they gave them UI and go into user experience design, UX design. The backbone of UX is iTunes. So what Steve Jobs considered for when they proposing the Apple iPhone was, it's not simply easy to use UI. Easy to use UI can make everybody, okay? Everybody can make the easy to use UI, but Steve Jobs, when they proposed first iPhone was, okay, that is not simply easy to use. That gives us pleasant to use, okay? Sensual, okay? And then some kind of feeling, we can't explain it. Okay, and then iTunes, with iTunes, they are combined with iTunes. All the product is combined to the iTunes, and then same UX can be used to use all the Apple iPhone. So since then, the hot potato in Korea and every country is what is the UX. So Donald Norman writing this book in 2007, 8? 2007, is it? 2004. 2004. Okay, 2004, Donald Norman's Emotional Design. Okay, this book is not much great book with the previous book, but what he did in 2004 says, I was wrong in 1982. Oh, his idea was wrong. Oh, he confessed it. Say, okay, in 1970s or 80s, okay, when he wrote the book Poet, Psychology of Everything, he intentionally proposed that easy to use the key concept in usability or any of the UI product. So next 20 years, all the designers are only considered about easy to use, easy to learn, that things. But I was wrong. Because I have too much pay attention to these usability things, I intentionally gave up the idea about aesthetics. Beauty. That book is about that. His companion, say, or emotional design. Why we love or hate everyday things. That is subtitle. What he says, usability is basic now. Okay, every product must have usability, and over that usability we have aesthetics. But this one is not simply beauty, it's more about user experience. Question in here, yet nobody knows what is user experience. So that is all your responsibility and all your work in next 20 years. You have to find what is UX. Nobody knows yet. But Steve Jobs says UX. We have a couple of examples about UX, say like ATM machine. ATM. Okay? ATM. How to use the ATM? You have to learn. You have to read the instruction, manual. So you just walk up and use it. The reason why you can use the ATM is you had an experience with the bank teller in the real bank. Okay? Same experience in ATM. So you don't need to learn it because you already know how to withdraw money, how to insert money with the bank teller, real human operator. So the same operation, same procedure is in our ATM. So that is a good example of user experience. But more than that, nobody knows. Everyone keeps saying it. Oh, this one is user experience, this one is user experience, but we don't have any particular design process. We don't have any particular design engineering. So that's why I entirely rely on your potential to find our design in a better way with the UX. That is hot potato. So that's why many of the industry is looking for some graduate from UX understanding UX. That might be you guys. Okay, so that is history. Okay, so I can just skip a couple of slides. So HCI is nowadays also talking about the environment. Okay, the culture is part of the environment, but the major issue about how we can understanding environment into the design is the key concept to make a right product. Example. Have you seen this one? The remote control. We have backlight. Why do we have the backlight? Light time, right? So many of us, is when you, at night time, if you need to see movies, so you want to make a more dark, the settings. So when you go to the dark setting, turn off things, you can't see the remote control, isn't it? So you have to turn on again and find out what buttons is working. So that to avoid these kinds of environmental issue, they intentionally put the light button in here. So that issue is pick up the human needs to product. Okay? So probably you may ask a question like that. How we can retrieve these human needs? Techniques. We have a couple of techniques. Interview, simple technique, interview, survey, questionnaire. This one can be used to retrieve this issue. And major things is observation. You just observe them and then see how it works. So that is kind of things. Okay, this one I show that. One more slide. So this one is history. This one is last lecture of today. Last slide of the lecture of today is this one. Okay. So in olden time, all the design issue is talking about machine-centered design, and then based on Donald Norman's very prominent book called Poet, is changed the paradigm into the user-centered design. Okay? All the design must be user-centered. To understand the users, you need to use cognitive psychology. And then suddenly, 1990s, from the Scandinavia, the Nokia, and what is the other company? Like Siemens is Germany, and Stockholm, the Sweden, some company, I don't remember that. Siemens. Ericsson, right? Ericsson, Siemens, Nokia is proposed a little bit different concept with the user participatory design. User participatory design means, user-centered design means using cognitive psychology. User participatory design means users are designing. So users is join the design team and work together. That is user participatory design. And then user experience design is another concept nowadays. But issue, nobody knows how to do the UX. Big job, your job. Of course my job too, but that is a thing. So that's why we have some of the conference and heaps of symposiums about this UX in Korea. The Korea's UX is really strong. Okay, we have industry, the Samsung, LG, Hyundai. Okay, so they're using the UX. You never know the UX is Hyundai, or they're using the UX. Okay, and what is the industry engineer? Yeah, and the heaps of the design teams are much better, much stronger than America. But I mean, the philosophy or approach is mostly comes from the American concept, right? Any questions? Of course, no questions, right? Okay. You have questions? Let me know.